Can I ask you something, Miss Evelyn? Do you know what her pain is? Because the only reason a person would behave in this manner...
We're not going to throw this behavior word around again. We're not going to do that. She does not have a behavior problem, and that's not fair.
First of all, your finger in my face is not going to work for me.
But the name calling is not going to work for me. Because I don't appreciate you keep throwing out these names. What about my disrespect? All I have been is disrespectful. I've been called. Wait a minute!
The candlelight flickered as Tamar Braxton stood in the empty dressing room, her mascara smudged, her voice hoarse, not from singing, but from screaming into a pillow moments before. Backstage, no one dared to enter. Not after what they just overheard. You ruined everything. My childhood. My joy. My voice. Tamer's raw voice echoed through the walls as Evelyn Braxton's name was shouted in a way no one had ever heard before. Not in interviews, not on stage, not even on reality TV. It was a mother-daughter confrontation that had been brewing for decades, and now, it had finally exploded. Cameras weren't rolling, but the damage was done. The pain was real. For years, fans had speculated about Tamer's emotional wounds, her battles with anxiety, her public outbursts. But what if those weren't just the side effects of fame? What if they were the result of something much darker, something rooted in years of emotional control, manipulation, and silence from the one person who was supposed to protect her? What Evelyn Braxton allegedly said, and did, to her daughter behind closed doors has now become the internet's most whispered about secret. And what's coming next will leave you absolutely speechless. Behind the dazzling lights of reality television and platinum-selling music albums lies a story rarely told, one laced with buried resentment, unspoken trauma, and generational pain. Tamar Braxton, the fiery youngest of the iconic Braxton sisters, always stood out, not just for her powerhouse vocals or bold fashion sense, but for her emotional volatility, her vulnerability, and that haunting sadness behind the sparkle. Many chalked it up to fame, heartbreaks, or public divorces. But those who listened closely could hear it. The pain started long before the red carpets and Bet awards. It began at home, with her mother, Evelyn Braxton. Tamer was the baby of the Braxton family, the one who had to fight hardest to be heard in a household filled with talent and towering expectations. Growing up in Seven, Maryland, she watched her sisters Toni, Trina, Tawanda, and Tracy blossom under Evelyn's strict but loving eye. But while the world saw Evelyn as the protective matriarch who molded superstars, Tamer lived a different version. In whispered interviews and late-night tweets, Tamer would allude to it: emotional pressure, favoritism, and what she once described cryptically as conditional love. There were no bruises, but the wounds went deeper. According to close friends, Tamer often felt like the black sheep. Evelyn, who had been a strict pastor's wife, expected her daughters to walk a narrow line of obedience and perfection. Tamer, bold and outspoken from the jump, didn't fit that mold. She was punished with silence, passive aggression, and emotional withdrawal. When she cried, she was called dramatic. When she spoke up, she was labeled disrespectful. And when she succeeded, it always came with a backhanded compliment: "You finally did something right," Evelyn once allegedly told her after a successful performance. As Tamer grew older and stepped into her own fame, things only grew more complicated. Being in Toni Braxton's shadow was hard enough. But doing it with a mother who reportedly minimized every victory made Tamer's confidence fragile, even as her star rose. On Braxton family values, their tension was often palpable. What audiences saw as entertaining shade or mother-daughter squabbles were, in truth, decades of unresolved hurt playing out in front of millions. Old friends from the Braxtons' early church community recalled Evelyn's iron-willed parenting style. She wasn't cruel, one family friend explained. But she believed that children were seen, not heard. And with Tamer? That didn't sit well. Tamer was a firecracker from the start, emotional, intuitive, and deeply sensitive. Traits that clashed violently with Evelyn's rigid views on discipline and control. Sources close to the family whispered that Evelyn sometimes compared Tamer unfavorably to her sisters, particularly Toni, whom she praised publicly. Toni was the quiet storm. Tamer was the hurricane Evelyn tried to tame. Perhaps the most painful moment came during Tamer's hospitalization for mental health. In 2020, after a shocking suicide attempt that rocked the entertainment world, many expected Evelyn to come forward in support. Instead, insiders said Evelyn's response was distant. Not cruel, not cold, but not what a daughter in crisis needed. Tamer reportedly told a friend afterward, "She showed up like a pastor, not a mother."
The statement shook fans.
It painted a heartbreaking portrait of a woman who, at her lowest, needed maternal love, and instead got moral judgment.
It wasn't just private moments either.
There were public stings too. In several interviews, Evelyn implied that Tamer's emotional outbursts were her own doing, a result of not listening or straying from God. Tamer, who had already been battling depression, felt betrayed. Even when Evelyn expressed concern, Tamer allegedly felt it was performative, a show of maternal care, not the real thing. She protects the image, not the child. Tamer once confided to a friend, according to a leaked message. The wounds weren't only about what Evelyn did, but what she failed to do. Tamer often expressed that her mother didn't stand up for her during moments when family turned on her, or when tabloids vilified her character. In many ways, Tamer felt abandoned, not just by the public, but by the one woman who could have silenced all the noise with a single act of defense. What makes this dynamic even more complex is that Evelyn herself came from hardship. A woman who endured divorce, poverty, and raising 5 children on her own after leaving a tumultuous marriage.
To many, her strength is admirable.
But that same strength, when not softened by empathy, became armor, one that Tamer could never quite penetrate. Their relationship is a study in contrasts: love and resentment, admiration and disappointment, loyalty and rebellion. And while Tamer has always insisted she loves her mother, she's also been the most vocal about the emotional cost of that love. From therapy sessions aired on national television to cryptic social media posts that seemed like cries for help, Tamer has tried to reclaim her story, even if it means exposing her pain. This isn't just a tale of a celebrity family feud. It's a generational drama, of trauma passed down, of healing interrupted, of a woman who wanted to be seen and a mother who didn't know how. As the tension boils once more and more secrets are set to be revealed, one thing becomes crystal clear. Tamar Braxton's battle hasn't just been with the world.
It's been with her own blood.
The turning point wasn't during a televised argument or an interview, it came during a quiet moment backstage, when the cameras had stopped rolling. Tamar Braxton had just wrapped up a concert in Philadelphia, and for a few seconds, she was glowing, sweat on her brow, fans still chanting her name outside the venue, adrenaline pumping. But as she returned to her dressing room, she found Evelyn Braxton already seated, arms crossed, wearing that familiar expression, part disappointment, part judgment, all silence.
There were no hugs.
No good job. Just a cold stare, followed by one sentence that cut deeper than any tabloid headline. "You're still chasing what you'll never get." Tamer, exhausted but still hopeful, asked what her mother meant. Evelyn didn't elaborate.
She didn't have to.
The weight of that sentence hung in the air like smoke. For Tamer, it was the confirmation of a truth she had been trying to deny for years, that her mother never really believed in her, never saw her as enough. This moment was the beginning of the unraveling. The conflict that had always simmered beneath the surface finally came boiling to the top.
It wasn't about fame or success. It was about recognition,
validation, love. Tamer had long struggled with the feeling that Evelyn saw her not as a daughter to be nurtured, but as a problem to be fixed. She had tried everything to please her, from church choir to daytime television, to soulful ballads and reality show confessions. But no matter what she did, it never seemed to be enough. Her sisters, especially Toni, often received Evelyn's praise. Tamer? She got critiques. Too loud, too extra, too emotional. In Evelyn's eyes, Tamer was always too much, and not enough. And that night in Philadelphia, something in Tamer finally snapped. A week later, during a family reunion taping for Braxton Family Values, tensions exploded on camera. Evelyn brought up Tamer's past relationships and mental health struggles in a way that felt less like concern and more like condemnation. "You keep putting yourself in these situations," Evelyn said, her voice raised. "Maybe you need to look in the mirror."
Tamer's face fell.
She tried to hold it together, but her hands were shaking. "I did look in the mirror," she responded, voice cracking. "And all I saw was someone trying to be loved by her mama." Gasps echoed around the room.
Toni looked away. Trina bit her lip. And Evelyn?
She didn't flinch. Instead, she adjusted her scarf and said, "Well, maybe love isn't always what you want it to be."
That was it.
The moment everything changed. In the days that followed, Tamer began pulling away from the family.
She stopped answering calls. She postponed press appearances.
On social media, she posted a cryptic message that simply read, Freedom starts when you stop waiting for people who broke you to fix you. Fans rallied behind her, sensing that something deeper was at play. And they were right. Because behind the scenes, Tamer had made a decision.
She was done pretending.
She began drafting a personal memoir, not a polished, PR-safe autobiography, but a raw, emotionally brutal account of her upbringing. She called it Unheard, a daughter's cry behind the music. In it, she recounted stories never told on television, moments of emotional neglect, comparisons between her and her sisters, spiritual manipulation, and the pressure of maintaining a false public image for the sake of family honor. The manuscript included excerpts from her teenage diary, where Tamer wrote things like, "Why doesn't mommy hug me like she hugs Tony? I want to be good, but I always feel like I'm bad. Sometimes I wish I was born in a different family." But the most shocking revelation came in a section titled The Prayer Closet. Tamer detailed a recurring memory of being told to pray the rebellion out when she questioned family decisions or expressed her frustration. Evelyn would allegedly make her kneel in the closet for hours, claiming it was God's way to break the spirit of disobedience. Tamer recalled being locked in there, crying silently, hoping someone would rescue her, but no one ever did. The memoir draft was leaked, allegedly by someone close to the publishing team, and the internet erupted. Hashtags like #JusticeForTamer and #UnheardBraxGirl trended for days. Fans were shocked, heartbroken, and furious. Some accused Evelyn of spiritual abuse. Others demanded a response from the Braxton family. Evelyn, unsurprisingly, denied everything. In a statement posted on her church's website, she wrote, "We all have different memories. I raised my daughters with love and discipline, and I will not be part of a smear campaign."
But the damage was done.
Tamer, finally, had the microphone, and she wasn't letting go. In an emotionally charged Instagram Live that drew nearly 1 million viewers, Tamer confirmed the memoir's authenticity. She spoke slowly, deliberately, her voice shaking at times.
"I'm not here to destroy anyone," she said.
"I'm here to free myself." And then she dropped the first major twist. "I'm not the only one," she said, holding back tears. "There are others. There are sisters who felt the same way, but couldn't say it. There are scars we all carry, but I'm the one who's done hiding mine." That line sent shockwaves across the fan base. Were other Braxton sisters also harboring hidden pain?
Had Evelyn's iron rule fractured more than just one child?
Within hours, fans began analyzing old clips of Braxton family values. They spotted moments where Trina flinched at Evelyn's comments, where Tawanda's eyes welled up during confrontations, where Tony deflected questions about their upbringing. Suddenly, the show took on a darker lens. What once seemed like family banter now looked like cries for help.
But Tamer wasn't done.
In a follow-up video, she hinted at something even more chilling. "There was one moment, just one, when I thought, if I stay in this house, I might not make it to tomorrow. That was the day I realized love shouldn't hurt this much." The internet froze.
What exactly happened in that house?
Was there a hidden incident that Tamer had never spoken about?
Theories ran rampant. Some said it was tied to her suicide attempt in 2020.
Others believed it was an earlier trauma, one never captured by cameras. What's clear is this: Tamar Braxton's emotional unraveling wasn't random. It was rooted in years of pain, in a complicated relationship with a mother who may have loved her, but never quite knew how to show it. And as the world watched this family fracture in real time, the biggest betrayal of all wasn't just about what Evelyn did.
It was what she never said.
The hugs never given. The apologies never made. The silence that screamed louder than any argument. And now, the world knows. After Tamer's shocking live stream and the emotional impact of her memoir leak, the fallout spread like wildfire. Not just across social media, but through the entire Braxton family. But what no one expected was that another Braxton sister, previously silent and composed, would step forward and change everything. Tawanda Braxton, often seen as the peacemaker of the family, shocked fans when she posted a black and white photo of herself as a child with the caption, "We all coped differently."
Some of us coped by shutting down. Some by staying silent. Silence doesn't mean peace.
It just means pain with no outlet. The comments section exploded. Fans immediately recognized this for what it was, a cryptic but direct response to Tamer's claims of emotional neglect and generational trauma within the Braxton home. Then came the twist that flipped everything upside down. Tawanda dropped her own bombshell interview. In a pre-recorded sit-down with a small, rising podcast that had recently gained notoriety for exposing industry secrets, Tawanda confirmed that Tamer's stories of emotional suppression and spiritual manipulation weren't isolated incidents. "We were raised to smile through the storm," Tawanda said calmly, her hands folded on her lap. "And if we didn't smile, we were the problem." She continued, "I remember one time I tried to speak up about how I was feeling, and Mama told me, 'You better pray that spirit off you before I do it for you.'
That was the end of it.
I never spoke up again." Fans were floored. Two Braxton daughters now confirming a toxic emotional dynamic? This wasn't a rebellious outburst anymore. It was a full-blown unraveling of a carefully curated family image. Suddenly, Braxton family values took on a whole new meaning. What were those values really built on? Church whispers turned into accusations. Evelyn Braxton had long positioned herself as a strong woman of faith, a matriarch who overcame adversity and raised 6 daughters alone. But now, whispers from within the church community began to surface. Former congregation members started anonymously sharing their experiences of Evelyn's fire and brimstone parenting style. One woman wrote, "She would always say, 'I raised them like the Bible said,' but the Bible didn't say to break your child's spirit." Another comment, posted under an old sermon video, read, "People forget that spiritual abuse leaves bruises too, they are just invisible." Meanwhile, Tamer vanished from social media. Her accounts were wiped clean. No tweets, no stories, no updates. And fans began to panic. Was she okay? Had the response from Evelyn, who was still denying everything, finally broken her spirit? But the truth was far more complex. Tamer was preparing to reveal something even darker. Behind the scenes, Tamer had been contacted by a renowned trauma specialist and mental health advocate who had read the leaked manuscript and wanted to collaborate on a documentary about generational trauma in Black families, particularly how faith and image can be weaponized to hide abuse. The working title? Silent Choir. This documentary, according to early leaks, would include never-before-seen footage from the early Braxton family values seasons, voice memos from therapy sessions, used with Tamer's consent, and hidden letters that Tamer had written to herself during moments of despair, including one from the night of her suicide attempt. The production team included survivors, experts, and even a former producer from WETV who allegedly left the network due to moral conflicts over how Tamer was portrayed on the show. As this was building, the Braxton family group chat, long inactive, allegedly erupted into chaos. Leaked messages posted to Reddit appeared to show Tracy Braxton, before her tragic passing, had once written, "We all saw it, we just didn't know how to stop it. We were afraid." This revelation crushed fans all over again. If true, it meant the family had known about Evelyn's damaging patterns but were too scared, or too conditioned, to intervene. Tracy, who passed in 2022, was always seen as the heart of the family, and now her legacy became part of this painful conversation. But then came the second major twist, and it came from Evelyn herself. In a shocking move, Evelyn Braxton did a live sermon at a small church in Georgia, which was later uploaded to YouTube. She stood at the pulpit, her voice thunderous, declaring, "The devil is using my children to discredit me, but I raised them with the rod of righteousness." The congregation clapped, but social media gasped. This wasn't an apology. This was an all-out spiritual counterattack. In the video, Evelyn suggested Tamer's behavior was a rebellious spirit and that sometimes the enemy uses those closest to you to test your faith. The clip went viral. Tamer's fans were enraged. Trauma therapists, pastors, and parenting experts jumped into the conversation. It became a nationwide debate. Was Evelyn Braxton using faith as a weapon? Or was she a misunderstood mother fighting to keep her family together? Toni Braxton, always private, finally broke her silence. In a surprise Instagram story that simply said "Stop hurting each other in God's name," Toni seemed to call for unity, but fans interpreted it as a passive acknowledgement that Tamer's claims held weight. Tamer's documentary now had attention from major streaming platforms. Deals were being discussed. Networks that once distanced themselves from her were now circling back. Tamer held the cards now. But this wasn't about fame. This was about healing. In an emotional clip that was allegedly part of the upcoming documentary, Tamer is seen at a therapy retreat, breaking down while looking at a childhood photo. "I just wanted my mama to tell me she was proud of me," she whispered, voice trembling. "I waited 40 years to hear that." The image froze on her tearful face, and the clip ended. Fans were in pieces. The story had escalated beyond celebrity drama. It had become a raw, unfiltered look at how unresolved generational trauma can pass like a curse from mother to daughter. How silence becomes tradition. How praise can be weaponized. And how even in the spotlight, a child can feel invisible. And just when everyone thought things couldn't get any more intense, a voice note was leaked. Allegedly sent from Evelyn to a family friend, the voice note included Evelyn saying, "Tamer's just being dramatic again. She always needs attention. This is just her little show." The backlash was immediate. Public sentiment flipped entirely. The woman once respected as a dignified matriarch was now seen by many as the architect of emotional damage. Tamer, though still offline, posted a single statement on her website. "Healing isn't always quiet. Sometimes it screams. I screamed because no one heard me when I whispered." The world erupted the moment Evelyn's voice note leaked. It wasn't just a scandal, it was a cultural earthquake. Screenshots, reactions, stitched TikToks, spiritual leaders chiming in, therapists breaking down generational trauma. Tamer's story had moved from reality TV drama to a national conversation about mothers, daughters, silent pain, and the emotional prisons built inside family homes. Everywhere you went, people were talking. At barbershops, beauty salons, church groups, brunch tables, everyone had an opinion, and the fallout spared no one. The Braxton name, once synonymous with harmony and musical excellence, became the centerpiece of a public reckoning. Fans felt betrayed, not just for Tamer, but for every moment they saw her break down on screen, every tear they originally dismissed as extra, every emotional explosion they shrugged off as Tamer being Tamer. In hindsight, it all looked tragic. It looked like a woman drowning for years while the world applauded her ability to swim. And Evelyn? She wasn't getting the applause this time. Public sentiment flipped dramatically. For every supportive comment she once received as the strong mother figure, there were now. Meanwhile, the Braxton sisters were caught in the crossfire. Toni, always poised, posted nothing further. Her silence interpreted as quiet agreement with Tamer, or possibly fear of exposing more family wounds. Tawanda found herself bombarded with questions after her cryptic interview. Trina tried to remain neutral but ended up deleting comments that accused her of enabling the cycle. Even Tracy's past confessions were resurfaced with painful new meaning. Fans replayed old episodes and found hidden cracks everywhere. Moments where Evelyn's tone cut too sharp, where Tamer's laugh seemed too forced, where the sisters shared knowing looks before changing subjects. As fans connected dots across years of footage, a chilling picture emerged. Tamer's breakdowns weren't entertainment. They were warnings. But the real emotional fallout began when Tamer finally resurfaced. Not with a video. Not with a rant. With a simple written message. "I wasn't trying to destroy my family. I was trying to save myself." That sentence became a rallying cry. Fans printed it on shirts, turned it into wallpapers, and used it in mental health awareness posts. Tamer's pain had ignited conversations about Black motherhood, survival parenting, emotional inheritance, and the difference between discipline and damage. But for Tamer personally, the fallout was heavier. Sources close to her revealed she had been attending trauma therapy daily. She reportedly cut ties with multiple family members, temporarily or permanently. No one knew. She stopped answering calls, set strict boundaries with producers, and refused to film any reconciliation scenes. Friends said she cried often, not because of what Evelyn had done, but because of how many people finally understood her. On the other side, Evelyn was reportedly stunned by the backlash. Her inner circle claimed she felt blindsided, insisting she had always loved her children and was merely raising them the best she could. But the public wasn't buying it. Not after the leaked note. Not after the dismissive sermon. Not after Tamer revealed the closet punishments and emotional wounds that shaped her entire identity. The fallout extended far beyond the Braxton household. Churches across the country began hosting forums about spiritual abuse. Therapists used Tamer's story to educate families about unintentional generational harm. Women shared their own stories of being the dramatic daughter, the misunderstood child, or the emotionally neglected sibling. The narrative had shifted. Tamer was no longer the problem child. She was the whistleblower. Then came the blow that shook Evelyn's image permanently. A former Braxton Family Values crew member anonymously revealed that producers had often cut scenes where Tamer tried to address her emotional hurt directly with Evelyn. They wanted the drama, not the healing, the insider said. Every time Tamer tried to get real, it got shut down. This revelation infuriated fans even more, confirming that Tamer's breakdowns were symptoms of a larger, suppressed story. Meanwhile, Networks were fighting for the rights to Tamer's documentary. As negotiations intensified, leaks suggested the documentary included footage of Tamer confronting past traumas, audio of therapy sessions, and even interviews with childhood friends who witnessed the emotional disconnect firsthand. Rumors swirled that Evelyn refused to participate, claiming the project was one-sided. Publicly, however, Tamer stayed calm. For once, she didn't clap back, didn't retaliate, didn't feed the flames. Her silence said more than words ever could. And yet, the emotional fallout wasn't just about hurt, it was about awakening. Tamer seemed lighter, freer, almost reborn. She posted a photo of herself smiling with no caption. Thousands commented, "Healing looks good on you." It was clear, Tamer was taking back her power, piece by piece, truth by truth. But this piece? It was temporary. Because something was coming. Something Tamer hadn't told anyone yet. And when it drops, it will change everything. Just when it seemed like the storm had passed and everyone had taken sides, with fans rallying behind Rashida and dragging Kirk into social media oblivion, the internet was struck with one final thunderclap. It wasn't another video, not this time. It was something far more insidious. A leak, yes, a leak, of private DMs between Kirk and an unknown second woman, this time not a model or club promoter, but someone shockingly familiar. The screenshots began circulating in secret fan forums before exploding across Twitter and Instagram. The woman Kirk had been messaging for over a year was none other than an employee at Pressed ATL. Yes, one of Rashida's own boutique girls. Someone she had trusted like family. The betrayal wasn't just marital. It was professional, intimate, a gut punch to everything Rashida had worked for. The leaked messages revealed flirtation, emoji-heavy convos, late-night you up, texts, and worst of all, pictures. Nothing X-rated, but enough to make anyone's skin crawl. A photo of Kirk holding a wine glass in what appeared to be the Pressed ATL back office. Another showing the boutique employee wearing one of Rashida's custom designs, captioned "Wish you were here." The fans lost it. Within hours, #pressed by the side chick started trending. Customers began questioning the staff at Rashida's store. Yelp reviews got flooded. The empire wasn't just emotionally shaken, it was economically rattled. Behind the scenes, Rashida was livid. According to insiders close to her glam squad, she wasn't crying anymore. She wasn't devastated. She was calculating. Cold. Done. Word spread that she had fired the employee in question, locked down the entire store's internal systems, and even changed her personal phone number to block out the noise. But one message got through, and it came not from Kirk, not from the boutique girl, but from Amira, the young model from the original scandal. She posted a voice note on her Instagram story, just 12 seconds long, but enough to flip the entire narrative on its head. In it, Amira said softly, "I thought I was the only one." But he said the same thing to her. He's been saying it to all of us. Even to her sister. Her sister? That phrase alone became a firebomb. Immediately, everyone wanted to know, whose sister? Was she implying Rashida's sister? A family member? Someone in Kirk's own bloodline? The implications were horrifying. Amira deleted the clip within 30 minutes, but by then it had already gone viral, ripped and reposted on every gossip blog and commentary channel in existence. Reddit threads exploded with conspiracy theories. Fans brought up long-forgotten rumors from seasons ago about a close family friend who once worked with Kirk in the early love and hip-hop Atlanta days, someone Rashida had once referred to as "my sister," not by blood, but by love. As pressure mounted, Kirk still said nothing. No video, no live stream, no caption. Just old reposts on his feed, and inspirational quotes like "Sometimes storms teach the greatest lessons." Fans weren't having it. Rashida, meanwhile, was silent too, but this time, it felt strategic. She had gone dark just hours before the premiere of her new reality spin-off, Rashida Unfiltered. Fans began to suspect something major was about to drop in episode 1. Something explosive. Something about the sister. Then, in one last move that shook fans to their core, a new teaser trailer aired on VH1, 1 minute long, showing Rashida alone in a dark-lit room. She whispered, it wasn't just the model. Or the boutique girl. Or the DMs. This has been happening for years, and one of them was family. The screen faded to black with the sound of a heartbeat slowing down, then a final title card, season premiere. Thursday. The cliffhanger was brutal. The betrayal was blood-deep. And fans were screaming in the comments. So now the question becomes, where does it all end?
Or has it only just begun?
Kirk Frost, once viewed as the reformed husband who had fought tooth and nail to earn back his family, is now buried beneath a mountain of betrayal, scandal, and leaked DMs. But what haunts us all is not just what we've seen, it's what we haven't. Who else knew? How long was this going on? And what exactly did Rashida mean when she whispered, one of them was family?
Was it her sister? A close friend? Or someone even closer?
We're standing on the edge of a reality TV earthquake, and the aftershocks are just starting to rattle through the culture.
You've seen the receipts. You've watched the meltdowns.
But what would you do if someone you loved kissed your enemy in public, and then claimed they were going through it? Would you forgive it?
Would you walk away?
Or would you light the whole thing on fire and rebuild it from the ashes?
Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.
Is Kirk finally cancelled? Or does he deserve another chance? Is Amira telling the truth, or holding back even more bombs? Smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the premiere of Rashida's new show and every jaw-dropping twist we'll be covering. Because trust us, this story is far from over.
The truth? It's still hiding in plain sight.
And when it comes out, it'll break the internet.
Stay tuned. Stay alert.
And as always, stay messy. Explosion symbol.